General Hospital spoilers will reveal Felicia's increasing realization of the strange circumstances surrounding the deaths of Sam and Dex, two people who seemed unrelated but shared a terrifyingly similar fate, sudden death while in good health. She can't ignore the feeling that these were not random accidents but the result of a carefully orchestrated series of events. Early information suggests that both died while receiving treatment at the hospital, where Cyrus's presence appears to be no coincidence. Cyrus, with his intelligence and ruthlessness, always knows how to cover his tracks, making any investigation incredibly difficult. Ambiguous clues and strange occurrences keep Felicia from stopping her thoughts. She begins to question every small detail that may have previously been overlooked. While thoroughly reviewing reports and images from the scenes, she suddenly notices something strange: the charity bell that Cyrus always carries. The image of Cyrus quietly ringing the bell, calm and unbothered during the events, suddenly stands out in her mind as a warning. Felicia decides to investigate further. That bell, though seemingly harmless, appears at all the crucial moments, from the night Sam suddenly died to when Dex was stabbed. She begins to wonder if Cyrus might have used it as a tool to spread poison. Digitalis, a colorless, odorless poison with a bitter taste, could easily be hidden in everyday contact surfaces. If each time the bell was rung, a small amount of poison was released into the air or transferred onto the hands of those nearby, then the deaths of Sam and Dex could just be the beginning of an even more horrifying chain of events. This thought sends a chill down Felicia's spine. She imagines the sophistication with which Cyrus manipulates everything, from choosing victims to covering up evidence. If her hypothesis is correct, Cyrus isn't just a common killer. He is a master at staging perfect murders with no concrete evidence left behind. Death becomes an accident in the eyes of the public but is meticulously planned by someone who can control every situation. Felicia can't stand still. She starts to look for ways to confirm her theory. First, she secretly requests to examine samples from the charity bell Cyrus used at the most recent event. Thanks to her connections with Chase and the forensic team, she is able to covertly send the sample for analysis. The results send shivers down her spine. Small traces of digitalis were found on the bell's surface, not enough to cause immediate danger but clearly capable of accumulating through long-term contact. Felicia can't believe the level of ruthlessness and sophistication of Cyrus. Using the bell as a means of spreading toxins shows he doesn't just want to kill people, he wants to create suspicion, chaos, and fear. This is a carefully calculated plan to ensure no one can trace his tracks. Felicia realizes she now holds a piece of the truth, but this also means she is becoming his next target. Felicia must act quickly. She begins to monitor Cyrus more closely, recording his every move and upcoming events. She is careful not to be noticed, but she knows that Cyrus is not easily fooled. He has a way of sensing threats around him. And sure enough, not long after, Felicia notices something is wrong. Small but suspicious signs start to appear around her: strange cars parked near her home, anonymous phone calls that no one answers, and even unfamiliar faces showing up at places she frequents. Felicia knows she doesn't have much time. She needs to gather more evidence and find a way to expose the truth before Cyrus strikes. But she also understands she is up against a man with no limits. He is not only ruthless but willing to destroy anyone who dares to stand in his way. Felicia has no choice but to take risks to save herself and stop him from continuing his actions. The days ahead will be a tense battle between her and Cyrus, where just one wrong step could lead to death. The more she thinks, the more Felicia recalls that night at Rice Plaza when she saw Dex confront Cyrus. It was a tense encounter where Dex did not hesitate to expose Cyrus's lie about being at the hospital on Halloween night. Cyrus's cold gaze at that moment was unforgettable to Felicia. His eyes held threat and calculation. She knew Dex held something important, a piece of the larger puzzle that Cyrus was trying to hide. Now that both Sam and Dex are dead, Felicia realizes she might be the only one left who can trace Cyrus's tracks. In the days that follow, Felicia starts her investigation quietly but thoroughly. She reviews all medical reports related to Sam and Dex, paying attention to the smallest details. She notices a suspicious coincidence: both were given 4 fluids at the hospital before they died, a detail that seemed normal at first glance but now makes her question everything. She also begins to gather information from hospital staff who worked the night of the events. Some mention seeing Cyrus around the
hospital, but no one dares to confirm anything.
The fear Cyrus instills in people makes them hesitant to speak up, and that only strengthens Felicia's resolve. While Felicia digs deeper into her investigation, Cyrus seems to have realized she is getting closer to the truth.
He is not the kind of person to overlook any threat, no matter how small. He begins to implement a new plan to eliminate Felicia, one designed to look like an accident. He uses his connections to monitor her every move, from who she talks to the places she frequents. He wants to make sure that, once he acts, no one can trace it back to him. Felicia, though accustomed to danger, begins to feel the mounting pressure. She notices strange signs around her, such as unfamiliar looks following her when she enters the hospital or sudden phone disconnections. She knows she's being watched and must be even more cautious. To protect herself, Felicia decides to team up with Chase, one of the most reliable investigators she knows. She shares her suspicions and the evidence she has gathered with him. Chase, who has also started to suspect Cyrus, agrees to secretly assist Felicia. Cyrus doesn't wait long.
He begins to set his plan in motion, using more sophisticated methods than ever. He tries to reach Felicia through indirect channels, sending seemingly harmless gifts that actually contain toxins or staging incidents that could harm her. He not only wants to kill Felicia but also wants to turn her death into a warning for anyone who dares to challenge him. Felicia, aware of the growing danger, doesn't dare relax. She establishes strict rules for herself to protect her, such as only consuming food and water that she personally checks and always carrying toxin detection equipment. She also secretly installs surveillance devices at places Cyrus frequents, hoping to gather direct evidence of his criminal behavior. The psychological battle between Felicia and Cyrus becomes increasingly intense. On one side is Felicia's determination to uncover the truth and bring the killer to light, and on the other side is Cyrus's ruthlessness in protecting his secrets at all costs. Felicia knows she's playing a dangerous game, where just one small mistake could cost her life. But she also understands that if she doesn't act, more people will suffer the same fate as Sam and Dex, and that is something she can never accept.
Cyrus never leaves any loopholes in his actions. When he realizes Felicia has gotten too close to the truth, he immediately adjusts his plan. He knows Felicia is not easily beaten and won't back down under any pressure. But Cyrus is also a calculating killer. He doesn't just want to kill Felicia, he wants to turn her death into a clear message to anyone who dares challenge him. In the final days of her investigation, Felicia gets closer than ever to the truth. She collects enough evidence to expose Cyrus, from digitalis samples on the charity bell to details related to previous victims. But what she doesn't expect is that Cyrus has been quietly following her, aware of every step she takes and even the evidence she's holding. He knows Felicia won't stop and is determined to eliminate her before she has the chance to expose everything. On a fateful evening, Felicia is called to the PCPD to discuss new clues. She feels nervous but also determined. This might be her last chance to bring her crucial information to light. But what she doesn't know is that Cyrus has infiltrated the PCPD system, cleverly and secretly. He has set everything up, from timing the moment to poisoning the glass of water Felicia will drink. When Felicia arrives at the PCPD, she doesn't notice the subtle signs around her. An unfamiliar person serving her water, a slight change in the tense atmosphere. She sits down and begins the conversation with colleagues, drinking a glass of water she thinks is harmless. But just minutes later, she begins to feel short of breath, her heart racing, and dizziness. The symptoms come on suddenly and uncontrollably. Felicia tries to call for help, but all her efforts are in vain. Her colleagues, though trying their best, cannot save her. She dies right there on the spot, leaving everyone around her in shock. When the autopsy results are released, the horrifying truth is revealed: Felicia's body contained a lethal amount of digitalis. Her death was not just a tragedy but a cold message from Cyrus. Cyrus, upon hearing of Felicia's death, shows no remorse. He knows he has eliminated the biggest threat to his secret. But at the same time, Felicia's death leaves a wave of suspicion within the PCPD and the hospital. Her colleagues, who had worked with her during the investigation, begin to wonder if Cyrus might really be involved in these strange deaths. Felicia's death is a turning point. Though Cyrus has succeeded in eliminating her, he didn't anticipate that the evidence she gathered would still exist.
Chase, who had worked with Felicia during the investigation, swears he will continue her work. Felicia's death is not the end but the beginning of a new battle, one to uncover the truth and bring Cyrus to light. However, the darkness left by Cyrus still looms. He not only killed Felicia but also spread fear among those who dare oppose him. And though the truth will eventually be revealed, Felicia's death serves as a haunting reminder that Cyrus is a man without limits, and he will never stop if anyone dares challenge him again.